It was a cold winter morning when the woman first came across the bear. The forest was silent, the trees heavy with snow, and the world around her felt still, untouched by time. But that morning, she found something that would change her life forever. In the quiet of the woods, a young bear lay motionless on the ground, its body battered and weak, its breath shallow and uneven. Its fur was matted with dirt and snow, and it was clear that the creature had been struggling for some time. The woman, a wildlife volunteer with years of experience, recognized the signs of distress immediately. The bear was gravely injured, its survival uncertain. Her heart broke for the creature, and without hesitation, she rushed to its side. It was clear that the animal was in no condition to fend for itself. Its body was broken, and its eyes, though filled with fear, seemed to call out for help. The woman knew that without immediate care, this young bear would not survive. The challenge was monumental. The bear's wounds were severe, and the journey to safety was treacherous. Yet the woman was determined. She had no idea what the future would hold, but one thing was clear: this bear needed her. The emotional weight of the moment hung in the air as she gently approached the bear, murmuring softly in an attempt to calm it. She knew this would be a battle, not just for the bear's life, but for their connection, one that would grow over time in ways neither could anticipate. What neither of them knew at that moment was how deep their bond would become, and how, 2 years later, this very bear would do something that would leave everyone stunned. The morning air was biting cold, but it didn't deter the woman from her trek into the forest. She had been following a hunch, a whisper of instinct that had led her through thick underbrush and over ice-crusted trails. As a wildlife volunteer, she was accustomed to the solitude of the woods, but today felt different. There was a sense of urgency in her every step, as though something or someone needed her. Then she saw it, the bear. At first, it seemed like just another fallen log or mound of snow. But as the woman drew closer, she could make out the distinct shape of the animal's body. A young bear, lying still and vulnerable, its sides rising and falling weakly with labored breaths. The woman's heart skipped a beat. She had never seen an animal in such a pitiful state. The bear was covered in a layer of snow, its fur matted with dirt and blood. Its legs were bent at unnatural angles, and it was clear that it had been struggling for days, if not longer. The woman swallowed her fear, her training kicking in. She had rescued many animals before, but none in this condition. She dropped to her knees beside the bear, her eyes searching for signs of life, her hands shaking from the cold and the weight of the situation. With trembling fingers, she reached out and gently placed a hand on the bear's side. The animal flinched, its eyes flickering open just enough to lock onto hers. For a moment, everything stood still. There was no sound but the rush of her breath and the soft groan of the bear. She knew this was a delicate moment. Any wrong move could send the animal into further distress, or worse, into an irreversible panic. But there was something else. The bear's gaze, filled with pain and fear, seemed to soften as it recognized her presence. It wasn't just a wild creature in need of help. It was a living being that was reaching out for a connection, for trust. Without thinking, the woman spoke in soft tones. "I'm here. I won't leave you." With careful hands, she began to assess the bear's injuries. She worked quickly but gently, using the first aid supplies she had carried with her for emergencies. As she treated its wounds, she felt a quiet bond forming, the same kind of bond she had formed with countless animals before. But this felt different. This bear wasn't just a patient. It was a companion in need of saving, and she couldn't help but feel a deep sense of responsibility for its well-being. The urgency of the moment hung in the air, but so did a profound connection, a promise that she would fight to save this bear's life. After several days of constant care, the bear, whom the woman had named Kodiak, began to show signs of improvement. His once vacant eyes now carried a spark of life, though his body remained weak and fragile from his ordeal. The woman was cautious but hopeful, knowing that the next step in his recovery would be teaching him to trust again. But little did she know that his healing journey would soon take an unexpected turn, one that would change everything. One crisp morning, as she entered the small enclosure where Kodiak was resting, she was accompanied by a new face, a golden retriever named Luna. Luna had been with the woman for years, serving as her loyal companion during countless rescues. She was gentle and intuitive, always a calming presence, especially with injured animals. The woman, knowing Luna's tender nature, had hoped the dog might help Kodiak adjust to the new environment, a quieter, safer world where he could begin the difficult transition from wild to recovery. At first, Kodiak's reaction to Luna was one of fear. He had been through so much. Human touch was foreign, and the presence of another animal made him uneasy. He huddled in the farthest corner of the pen, his eyes wary, his body tense. Luna, sensing his discomfort, didn't approach him immediately. Instead, she sat quietly at the edge of the enclosure, her golden coat shimmering in the soft sunlight. Her gentle gaze never left Kodiak, giving him space to adjust on his terms. Days passed, and the bond slowly began to form. Luna's presence was a constant, but her approach was never forced. She simply lay near the bear, patiently waiting for him to make the first move. Slowly, Kodiak began to notice her, a soft, comforting figure who never judged him. Luna's quiet companionship was something Kodiak hadn't known he needed, but as the days wore on, it became clear that she was exactly what he had been missing. One afternoon, as the sun began to dip low in the sky, Kodiak took his first hesitant steps toward Luna. She remained motionless, as if inviting him to take the lead. With tentative movements, the bear approached the dog, his nose twitching in curiosity. He circled Luna a few times, sniffing her fur before finally lowering his head and gently nuzzling her side. Luna, sensing the moment, rose to her feet and nudged him back, offering a soft nudge of reassurance. The bear, for the first time since his arrival, allowed himself to relax, his tense muscles loosening in the presence of the dog. He lay down beside her, his body curling protectively around Luna's form as if seeking warmth and comfort. In the following weeks, the two became inseparable. Luna took on the role of Kodiak's protector, guiding him through the new world he was now a part of. She was always by his side, offering companionship during the most difficult moments. And Kodiak, in turn, began to show more trust, not just in the woman, but in Luna as well. He followed her wherever she went, learning from her calm demeanor and steady presence. The bond between them grew deeper each day, and soon it was clear that Luna had become his lifeline, a constant reminder that, despite all that had happened, he was not alone. What had begun as a tentative connection between two animals from different worlds had blossomed into a deep, heartfelt friendship, a bond forged through time, patience, and an unexpected companion. As the weeks turned into months, the bond between Kodiak and Luna continued to grow in ways the woman had never imagined. What had started as a cautious relationship, one based on space and trust, had blossomed into something deeper, rooted in affection, companionship, and shared understanding. One of the first signs of the growing connection came one morning when Kodiak, now a bit stronger, ventured out of his pen with a new energy. His legs, once shaky from his injuries, had become more stable, though he still walked with a gentle slowness. Luna, who had been resting nearby, lifted her head at the sound of his approach. Without a word, she rose to her feet and trotted over to him. He paused, eyeing her for a moment, before stepping forward with a soft grunt. Then, without warning, Kodiak let out a low, playful growl. It was a sound the woman had never heard before, one that she had only associated with healthy, active animals, and it caught the woman off guard. Luna, always eager to engage, responded by playfully swatting at the air with her paw, just out of Kodiak's reach. He looked at her for a second, as though trying to make sense of her actions, and then, in an instant, his massive paws batted at her gently. Luna yelped in mock surprise, darting around him with a graceful agility that Kodiak, though large and lumbering, tried to match. They were playing. It was a moment of pure joy, one that transcended species and backgrounds. It was an exchange of trust and comfort, a celebration of the bond they had built together. The woman watched from a distance, her heart swelling with pride. To her, it was a sign. Kodiak was healing, not just physically but emotionally. He was learning what it meant to feel safe again, to let down his guard, and to enjoy the simple pleasures of life. As days turned into weeks, the bond between them became even more evident in their interactions. Kodiak began to follow Luna around wherever she went. Whether it was through the forest or just around the yard, he kept close, mimicking her every step. Luna had become his guide, not just in the physical world, but in how to navigate the emotions and relationships that came with his new life. She had taught him the language of play, of affection, and, perhaps most importantly, of mutual care. One particularly poignant moment came when Kodiak, still learning to navigate his new surroundings, accidentally slipped on a patch of ice while trying to follow Luna across the yard. He tumbled, his large body skidding uncontrollably for a few moments before he came to a stop. Luna, who had been ahead, immediately turned around, her ears perked with concern. She rushed to his side, nudging his head with her nose, as though to reassure him. Kodiak groaned softly, pushing himself up with her assistance. There was no panic in Luna's movements, only a calm sense of protectiveness and care. She stayed close to him until he was back on his feet, then gave him a playful nudge, as if telling him, "It's okay, you're not alone." Kodiak, for his part, seemed to understand. He gave Luna a soft, almost imperceptible nudge in return, as though acknowledging her role in his recovery. From that day forward, he became more attuned to Luna's presence. When she lay down to rest, he would curl up beside her, his large body settling close to hers. He seemed to seek her out when he needed comfort, following her like a shadow, always at her side. It was clear that Kodiak had learned something valuable from Luna, how to be vulnerable and how to trust in those who cared for him. The lessons were subtle but profound. He no longer feared the presence of humans or other animals. Instead, he began to see them as potential sources of companionship and support. Luna, in return, had gained something just as important. She had learned that love transcended boundaries, that even a wild creature, once so untamed and distant, could find solace in connection. The emotional bond between Kodiak and Luna had transformed them both. Where there had once been fear, there was now trust. Where there had once been isolation, there was now companionship. Their friendship had grown into a beautiful, inseparable partnership, a bond so strong that it seemed unbreakable, rooted in love, care, and the quiet understanding that they were each other's lifeline. As time passed, Kodiak and Luna's bond grew stronger, but their journey together was not without its challenges. The path to healing, both physical and emotional, was a rocky one, filled with moments of doubt and uncertainty. Kodiak, though thriving in many ways, still carried the trauma of his past. His wild instincts often clashed with the more gentle, controlled environment he now inhabited. And Luna, though a constant source of calm and affection, too had her moments of uncertainty, unsure how to best support her large companion. The first real challenge came one chilly autumn evening when Kodiak, now nearly full-grown, began to show signs of restlessness. He had always been a creature of the wild, and as his strength returned, so too did the pull of his instincts. One evening, as the sun began to set, Kodiak suddenly darted for the edge of the yard. His large paws kicked up dirt as he ran, his eyes wild, and the woman could see that he was conflicted, torn between the world he had known and the one he was now part of. Luna, sensing the tension in Kodiak, immediately sprang to action. She ran to his side, nudging him gently, her presence a steadying force. Kodiak, still panting and agitated, turned to her, as if seeking something, answers, comfort, or perhaps just the reassurance that he wasn't losing himself in the wildness that called to him. Luna circled him, her golden coat a stark contrast against the fading light, and let out a soft whine. It was a quiet plea for him to stop, to stay with her. At that moment, Kodiak paused. He looked at Luna, and for the first time in a long while, he seemed to see her as more than just a companion. She was his anchor. Slowly, the tension in his body began to ease. He lowered his head, nuzzling her gently in return. Luna stayed close, never once pulling away, her body language calm and reassuring. She wasn't just a protector now. She was a confidant, a trusted friend who understood him in ways others could not. The moment was brief, but it was enough. Kodiak didn't run off that night, and as the days passed, the woman noticed that he began to trust more in Luna's presence. His moments of panic became less frequent, and when they did occur, Luna was always there, guiding him back to safety, helping him to find his balance again. The second challenge came when a sudden storm swept through the area. Torrential rain and fierce winds rattled the small cabin, and Kodiak, frightened by the sounds of the storm, retreated into the corner of his enclosure, his body trembling with fear. Luna, as always, was at his side. Without hesitation, Luna approached Kodiak, gently nudging him with her nose. The bear looked at her with wide eyes, his body still tense. He was a creature of the wild, and storms were a threat to his survival. But Luna, ever calm, lay down beside him, pressing her warm body against his. She didn't leave him. She stayed there throughout the storm, offering her comforting presence as the winds howled and the rain fell in sheets. Kodiak, for all his size and strength, found solace in her, his fear slowly dissipating. By the time the storm had passed, Kodiak was no longer trembling. He was lying peacefully beside Luna, his large body relaxed, his eyes half closed in contentment. Luna had become his safe harbor, the constant that kept him grounded in a world full of uncertainty. And in return, Kodiak's trust in Luna deepened. He began to seek her out in times of fear, following her for comfort, letting her lead when he wasn't sure where to go. Together, Kodiak and Luna faced challenges that tested their bond in unexpected ways. And each time, they came through stronger, learning to rely on each other's strengths and offering the kind of mutual support that only true companions can. Their relationship had become one of absolute trust. Kodiak knew that with Luna by his side, no obstacle was too great, no fear too overwhelming. The bond between Kodiak and Luna had been growing stronger with each passing day, but their relationship was about to face its ultimate test. It came unexpectedly, like a shadow that loomed just out of sight, waiting for the perfect moment to reveal itself. It was early summer when it happened, the time when the wild animals were more active, preparing for the long months ahead. The woman had been away for a few hours, checking on other animals in her care, when she received a frantic call. Someone had spotted a bear in the nearby woods, a bear who seemed to be in distress and had been acting erratically. A sense of dread gripped her heart as she immediately thought of Kodiak. When she arrived at the cabin, her worst fears were realized. Kodiak was gone. The gate to his pen had been left ajar, and he had vanished into the woods. Luna, who had been by his side just hours before, was pacing restlessly, her eyes filled with anxiety. She seemed to know exactly what had happened. The woman called out for Kodiak, her voice trembling with worry. Luna, unable to stay still, bolted into the forest, her golden coat a blur in the underbrush. She was searching for him, her instincts telling her that her companion needed her. The woman, determined not to lose him, followed close behind. As they ventured deeper into the forest, the air thick with tension, the woman could hear the occasional growl, a low, rumbling sound that sent a chill down her spine. They finally found him, Kodiak cornered by a group of wild bears. He was outnumbered and scared, his massive body trembling with fear. His wild instincts had taken over, and now he was trapped in a situation he didn't know how to navigate. It was Luna who made the first move. With no hesitation, she darted forward, barking loudly to draw the attention of the wild bears. Kodiak, his eyes wild with panic, turned toward her, and for a split second, their gazes met. Luna's presence was a lifeline. She wasn't just a companion now. She was his protector. Kodiak hesitated for a moment, but then, as if understanding the depth of their bond, he backed away slowly, inching toward Luna. She stood firm, ready to face the danger head-on. The woman, witnessing the exchange, rushed forward, calling for help. Within minutes, a team arrived to assist with the situation, and the wild bears, sensing the threat of human intervention, scattered. Kodiak, once lost and fearful, found his way back to safety. Luna remained by his side the entire time, never wavering, never leaving him. As they made their way back to the cabin, Kodiak walked close to Luna, his head lowered, his trust in her absolute. It was in this moment, amidst the chaos and fear, that the bond between Kodiak and Luna was solidified beyond anything the woman could have imagined. They had faced the ultimate test, and they had come through it together, stronger, braver, and more connected than ever. From that day on, their bond became unbreakable. They were more than companions. They were protectors, friends, and a team that could conquer anything. The woman watched as they walked side by side, and she knew, without a doubt, that Kodiak and Luna had found a family in each other. In the months that followed, Kodiak and Luna's bond continued to flourish, growing deeper with every shared moment, every challenge overcome. Kodiak, once a scared and wounded bear, had transformed into a strong, confident animal, his once fragile body now a symbol of resilience. Luna, ever the loyal companion, remained steadfast by his side, her calming presence an anchor in a world that was often unpredictable. Together, they had faced trials that tested their courage, their trust, and their love. From the stormy nights to the moments of panic, from Kodiak's wild instincts to Luna's unwavering support, they had proven time and time again that their bond was unbreakable. They had become more than just an unusual pair of animals. They had become family, a living testament to the power of compassion and connection. The woman, who had witnessed their journey from the very beginning, often stood in awe of the incredible transformation she had seen in both animals. Kodiak had learned to trust again, to find comfort in the presence of another, and to embrace the warmth of a family he had once lost. Luna had discovered that love didn't always follow the boundaries of species or background. Their friendship had become a quiet but powerful force, one that transcended words and resonated deep within the heart. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the sky was painted in hues of orange and pink, Kodiak and Luna lay side by side in the soft grass. Kodiak's large head rested on Luna's smaller, golden frame, and for a moment, everything seemed peaceful. The world around them was quiet, save for the soft rustle of leaves in the wind and the gentle hum of nature. It was in this stillness that the woman found her heart full of gratitude. She had witnessed the healing power of love, how it could mend even the most broken of spirits and turn fear into courage. Kodiak and Luna had not just saved each other. They had saved her as well, reminding her of the beauty and strength that comes from kindness and compassion. As the days turned into years, their bond only grew stronger. And in every shared moment, whether it was play, rest, or a simple look exchanged between them, it was clear that their friendship was a lasting one that would forever be remembered as a testament to the power of love, healing, and the unwavering support of those who care for us, no matter who we are.